tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. It's been 3 months. 3 months since we've last chatted with our now regular guest on the show, Frank Caliendo, will be in the area this weekend at the Great American Comedy Festival. Will be just outside of town a little bit. I'll get to that in a second, but Frank joins us now on the 42 Degrees Source Hotline. Hi, Frank.
Hey, big question. What's going on with Dan Hurley? Where's
I don't know. Apparently there's a scene. There's nobody knows what he's going to do. I've been following all the tweets from it this morning. Nobody has any idea, and I'm endlessly interested.
Don't you think he stays? And supposedly they moved the UConn practice back 2 hours.
Yes.
From noon to 2. If you move that back, I don't think you're pushing the kids back to tell them you're leaving.
I don't know. Maybe he comes out and he walks out the front door. He like pushes both doors open and he's like, I'm not bleeping leaving. He pulls like a Wolf of Wall Street thing and then there's a parade afterwards. I don't know.
Willy Wonka. I was thinking the somersault.
Oh, he's got like a cane and he's like, I'm going to LA. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be, come with me, you will see.
You got the show business mind, man. You're on top of this. I think you should consult Dan Hurley on this.
Yeah, I find it I do find it interesting. I don't know if I find it as interesting as everybody. I think there's just not enough going on that in sports right now that's the issue.
Yes.
I mean, well, you guys got the College World Series there, so
yes.
There's a big impact in town. But in terms of
I agree with you. There's not anything going on.
Yeah, there's Dan Hurley and Caitlin Clark being left off the Olympic team.
I know.
Those are the two big stories that everybody in the world cares about.
It's a big time in sports, Frank. It's a huge time in sports.
That's Barkley-esque. That's horrible. That's really, really bad. Come on, guys.
And those guys aren't even on. Those guys aren't even on TV anymore. They're gone, and we have to watch commercials on ABC instead.
Could you imagine if Barkley, NBA and TNT, so the NBA goes to the streaming and TBS or streaming NBC and all that other stuff. And Barkley just does a live stream from his phone. I think that would be great with the other guys. We're going to do this ourselves. Even though he's got a production company, he's like, I want to do this forever, boom. We're going to make all the money. I think that would be the best.
I think they would outrate them probably.
Yeah, I mean, that is the best show. I remember when I first went over, when I had my show on TBS for a day, they took me, I went over there and did some promo. And the way they were telling me is the people that started the NBA and TNT came over from the NFL on Fox. So I don't know if I talked to you about this before, but Barkley's in the Terry Bradshaw seat, Kenny's in the Howie Long seat, Ernie is in the JB seat. So they both expanded, but that was the premise behind the show, and they just took that and went times 1,000. For the humor. I mean, the things that go wrong on the NFL on Fox are what's really funny. And when it goes wrong on the NBA and TNT, it's some of the best television of all time.
It's the best show on TV. There's no doubt about it. And we might only have 1 year left with it.
Yeah, isn't that surreal?
That's crazy.
Somebody will do something. There's too much money to be made. Something will happen.
Hey, Frank. Oh, so you just mentioned the College World Series. Have you ever been? I mean, you'll be in the proximity of it this weekend. I assume. I don't think you're flying direct to Norfolk.
No, and I appreciate the fork.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask you. So you know about that, right? It's Norfolk.
Yeah. I've heard some people have interviewed me from the area, and then like, are you from the East Coast? What are you doing?
No, it's real. That's how I have no idea why. I've never got an explanation on it, but the people from Norfolk are adamant about it.
So originally it's Norfolk, and my understanding is from a couple different people that, and now I have multiple sources, that they just changed it because people thought it was Norfolk, like in Virginia or whatever it is.
Right.
And the post office changed it. I don't know if that's just people making stuff up or what, but the post office changed it because you know how self-motivated postal workers are.
Yes, notorious for that, indeed.
So they changed it because they just thought people were spelling it wrong. But I don't know, but it's pretty. But yes. So Norfolk, people have been telling me that. I'm looking at the spelling and I'm going, I don't get it. So whatever. But yeah, the super nice people I've been out there before. It was a few years ago, probably.
Okay, good.
I don't know, 7 to 10 years ago. But I think I'm actually going to stay in Omaha for one day because my flight is going to leave early the next morning. And I booked a hotel, and it's about 10 times the price of what it would normally be because of the College World Series.
That is correct. This is the only reason we even have these hotels, just for these 2 weeks.
Yeah, I saw a regular room at just a regular type of hotel, $1,770 for the night.
Really? That's not like on the StubHub of hotels or something like that? That's real?
Yeah. Stealmymoney.com. It was just a hotels.com kind of thing. It was one of those. Then it was $1,700. But most of the others were like $400, $500, $600 for like a motel.
Yeah.
Not even indoor corridors. But I was like, okay, well, it's either that or leave at 2 a.m. So I guess I'll spend some money. It's a write-off.
Nice. So and you're now very familiar with Omaha, so you know the lay of the land. You were just here a couple months ago. How was your trip up? The clips of you talking to the Creighton team those were pretty funny.
That's my new favorite team, man. I just love McDermott and his staff there. Those guys are awesome. And Stephen Ashworth came out to the show, and I brought him up on stage because people think he's so short and he was a head taller than me. I mean, that's like people don't realize how giant Kalkbrenner and some of those guys are. It was pretty great. I got to watch a bunch of practice. My son came out and watched as well, so we had a blast. It was a lot of fun.
Hey, so what is the official ruling here on how have the last couple of weeks been since the passing of Bill Walton? Have you been asked to do Bill Walton impressions?
People tried to get me to do it the day of, and I just said no to everybody.
Right.
I throw it out there because he was a friend of mine. He came to shows. He came to I wasn't Jerry Garcia or anything, but he came to a bunch of shows. The first time I ever met him, which you only meet somebody once, but unless you just have a really bad memory. But when I met him, it was an event in San Diego. It was a charity, and he was there, and I was going to do the Bill Walton impression. And people were like, I don't know if you should. He's going to be in the audience. And like, okay, I think he has a good sense of humor. I mean, he seems like a nice guy. So, and they're like, yeah, but he's hobbled by back problems, all kinds of stuff. I just don't know if we can enjoy it. I'm like, well, I'll take the chance. So I did it, and I've started going into it, and here we are. How great is this? And in the back, there's a guy who stands up circling a towel. Hilarious, unbelievable. Did you do this the entire time? This is the greatest impression in the history of Western civilization. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the time. So, yeah. And then he would bring friends to the shows and just the greatest. The interesting thing about Bill passing away was that nobody talked about him playing basketball. Everybody talked about how much he'd affected their life in different ways. That's an amazing person.
It's fantastic. And I also noticed, I feel like it's okay if maybe not on the day of, like you said, but like people doing impressions or telling, these really funny stories of the interactions that they had with him. Like it all seems so right because it represented him like so well.
I didn't have a problem.
It's funny.
Want me to call and talk about him. It was people wanting me to call as Bill Walton from heaven or something.
Right.
I'm just not. No thanks.
Yeah. That clip that went around, it was going around on the day he passed of you and Pash and actual Bill Walton sitting there, you doing Bill Walton. So Dave Pash unfortunately had two Bill Waltons on his right shoulder and he had to deal with that entire. It's so good. So good.
And Dave had the best line of the whole game was, "You've got Bill actually talking about basketball," because I was so far off on tangents. Bill had to talk about the game. And it was Dave sent me some texts and stuff. Like Dave Pash, who's his broadcast partner on ESPN2 for the Pac-12 games, he put some texts from Bill out on Twitter. He didn't want it to be about himself, but he put some stuff out of Bill. But he sent me some videos of Bill just doing stuff. They were at some like kickboxing gym or something like that, and Bill's just punching the bag, and they're like, "Who are you punching, Dave?" Dave. So
incredible.
Dave, no, there's two of them. This is the worst day of my life. I mean, it's so funny.
Even the screenshots that he was putting out, that Pash put out there of like just texts with Bill Walton, I was dying laughing at those.
Oh, it was fantastic. And Pash had this whole thing where Dave would be doing an NBA game, and then Bill would text him watching the game, knowing Dave that was doing it, but pretending like Dave wasn't there doing the game, and be like, "This guy is so much better than you. Just learn from this guy. The guy who's doing the Lakers game right now is fantastic." So it was great.
So like we said, there's not much going on in sports right now. We're just like, what are we doing? Are we just gearing up for football season? Are you a baseball guy, by the way?
I grew up playing baseball. My dad played the minor leagues for a little while, actually, before I was born. That was back in the late '60s. But I grew up with baseball. I don't know. My kids don't like baseball. My son doesn't get into baseball. So my brother played college baseball for a little bit at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. My other brother played for an NAIA school, but my brother Terry played Division I for a little bit. So, and my friend ended up coaching later. A guy that I used to work at indoor baseball softball batting cage called Mike Hegan's Grand Slam that was in
nice
in Milwaukee, and one of the guys who was a AAA player with the Dodgers for many years and stuff like that. He ended up coaching Scott Duffick. He ended up coaching the UWM Panthers. He just retired a couple of years ago, but I was always around baseball. But I when my kids don't really get into something, I don't get into it as much. So no, my daughter's into F1 now, so that's the most expensive sport in the world. Yeah. Oh my God.
It is a running. I mean, there's some people who like it. I think my sense is because they watched the documentary on Netflix and then they decided to mildly get into it.
Well, my daughter thinks all that stuff. My daughter gets mad at it. She's like, "This is so incorrect. It's so incorrect. These are fake stories." But
oh, really?
She gets in. Oh, yeah. She reads about everything. She's actually on a class trip with my wife. That she went. There's a class in at their high school that at the end of the semester, end of the year, seniors they go to Europe. So they were in Italy and they were in Switzerland this morning. And they went to the Swiss Automotive Museum, and she sat in one of the Red Bull cars and ended up doing a Red Bull simulator today. So she'd done the Ferrari simulator when we went to Italy last year. So, and I'd never been overseas before. Now my daughter's like a world traveler. So
how about that? Nobody passes each other in that sport, though. Nothing ever happens.
It's hard.
Don't do anything.
And you're racing against Max Verstappen. So you don't have much.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's too many impressions of F1 guys that are just sitting out there, not quite well known enough.
I don't know, and nobody here would know them.
No,
but, yeah,
I certainly wouldn't. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what's going on. What you got coming? So Saturday, you're the headliner at the Johnny Carson Theater. Yeah,
there's some local comics that do some stuff from, I guess, the area. Maybe not just local, but in the general, maybe Midwestern kind of comics. They do a few minutes each. It's all very clean, I guess. That's what I've been told. And then at the end, I close the show doing a headline set. So frankonstage.com takes you to where you can get the tickets if you're tired of watching the College World Series. Are you
going to make it up to the College World Series, or is the turnaround too short?
No, it's too quick. I gotta go. I'm going to be in Oklahoma the day before, so it's a crazy trip. Yeah, I don't even. It's a place called I don't know where, Oklahoma. That's actually what it is.
Exciting. I mean, you're everywhere, man. Like
when I go to Norfolk, Nebraska, it's actually going to be more populated than where I'm going to be at in Oklahoma.
I mean, it is. Norfolk is one of our most populous cities. I think it's in the top 10. So You got
Yeah,
that.
there you go.
Yeah. Well, Frank, anything else before we let you? I'm sure Josh will text you since you guys have this budding relationship. Via text. If you got any takes you want to bounce off, us just let me know.
I'm just gonna think about this Dan Hurley thing all day. I got Bobby's number. Maybe I'll text Bobby and see if he'll give me the. Danny hasn't even told Bobby yet.
If you broke the Dan Hurley news, that would be the funniest day on Twitter.
Gosh, I wish years ago I did a thing with Steve Keim. I had a message from Steve Keim, and I was on the Dan Patrick show, and I talked about it, and it was. I had left a message for Steve Keim as Gruden. You want to make a trade, man? Let's make a trade. And like Yahoo News or somebody took it and thought it was real. And they thought that I'd actually fooled Steve. And even though it was, I sent him an MP3 from my phone, and I told this whole story, and I didn't stop it. That's what I think is. Like Dan Hurley, I think is just taking this and letting it bake.
Oh, definitely.
And basking in it. Yeah, because why not? But again, this is my take. If you push the college kids back, unless this news is broken already and I'm wrong.
I don't see anything yet.
If you push the college kids back 2 hours, your practice is supposed to be at noon, you go back to 2. That's a really jerky thing to do to the kids. And if you told them before, there's no way that didn't get out.
Right.
Because as soon as that's mentioned, there are kids in the transfer portal or, taking calls from somebody that, their handler or whatever is getting it. So
it sounds like you're reporting that he's staying.
I'm not reporting. I'm just hearing about it. But maybe I'll call Mac and tell him to try and talk him into the Lakers.
There you go. There's your line right there.
That's the way to go.
All right, Frank. Appreciate it as always. Good to chat, and we'll catch up soon. Have fun this weekend.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
That is Frank Caliendo. He will be in Norfolk this weekend at the Johnny Carson Theater. It is the Great American Comedy Festival. Couple different headliners, one Friday night and Frank's on Saturday night, and then some local people going on as well.
You were worried about my guy Frank.
Always a good time with Frank. Why would I? Oh, I'm not worried about Frank.
You were worried that he didn't know where he was going in this crazy mixed up world of ours.
You're right. You know what? I should give him more credit. He's very clearly traveled to all corners of planet Earth.
Right.
So yeah, I do think, and it makes sense that he's already talked to some Norfolk people. We have many reaching out to us and saying, "Here's why it's Norfolk."
Oh, okay.
By the way, I'm pretty sure we may have covered that before on the show. So it used to be North Fork.
Oh,
this is what he's gathered anyway. It used to be North Fork because it's the northern fork of the Elkhorn River, and then they just abbreviate it to Norfolk, and then the post office just messed up and thought that they were doing it wrong, and so either the post office is the hero or the post office is the villain here, depending on which way you view Norfolk.
Typical greedy post office. Just, this is the way it is. We're changing it. Deal with it.
Personally, I think that Norfolk is the better way to say it, even though it doesn't make any sense from how it's spelled. Because the other version is too close to a bad word.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sure.
Seems easier that way.
Great for us.
Brandon says, I'm from Norfolk. It was supposed to be named Norfolk for the North Fork of the Elkhorn River that runs through town. The post office changed it, thinking they meant Norfolk, like Virginia. Ended up with Norfolk. So that's what you got to know when you come into town. Norfolk, Nebraska. Sad that I won't be able to get Frank for a little College World Series. That would have taken up one of my reports.
Oh, yeah.
This weekend. I'll have to find some other dignitaries, maybe Trev.
Now, you immediately, when Kentucky made the College World Series,
Pope.
Bring me Mock Pope.
Mock Pope. He is near the top of the list. We could do that. Maybe get Josh, we want to do a top 5 this week at some point? Top 5 people that Connor should track down at the College World Series?
Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
Okay. All right, so whenever you're ready, just let me know.
Okay.
We'll roll that.
I could have it as early as tomorrow.
We will come back with more next, but first, a reminder that the NBA Finals are ongoing, depending on your perspective, of course. FanDuel is giving you the chance to win alongside the champions. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with a winning $5 bet. So find yourself something good for Wednesday night. Maybe it's a player prop. Maybe it's somebody making a three-pointer, three three-pointers, Jason Tatum over on points, whatever it might be. Win that $5 bet, and then you have some extra spending money for the rest of the finals, so you can mix some around. But I remind people that our NBA finals probably won't be around very much longer. We're dealing with the end of the week here, so it's best for you to get in on this right now. Once again, a winning $5 bet gets you $200 in bonus bets. Head to FanDuel.com/Happer and get started. Take an extra shot at $200. That's with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. 21 and over, present in Iowa. First online real-money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued is now withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.